All right. Hey there. So a few topics for this video today. I wrote down, I don't know, a handful of words, maybe a dozen words, but it's really like four bullet points about urgency, word of mouth, and a little thought on working with a new business owner. Every once in a while, we sit down with someone that just opened up their business and some ideas around that, but really about ROI too. So those are the topics. And these really come from just talking to folks in the morning or throughout the week. And as conversations come up, so that's where these things come from. Or some of you send in a text or call or email or whatever and say, hey, this would be a great topic. So I love talking about any part of the business, super fun. And hope you enjoy this video. So I want to talk about why is it important to sign within a certain period of time? Why, this idea of sometimes in other businesses, it's more common. In our business, we talk about it a lot in order to prevent it. People will say, great, see you later, send you an email or I'll send you a proposal. Tell me where in our sales materials it says anything about a proposal, right? We don't propose things. We have campaigns, we have a solution for their needs to meet the market. So I share that with you because I was reminded of a story that happened when I was a publisher, and it's a good story. It has a good ending, and I'm sharing it because I'd like to make sure that we have more good endings like this to the story. And the shortest version of this, or I'm going to do my best to have the shortest version, is I went and met with a sushi restaurant, and they had just opened up. I got in there. It was an early in the morning appointment, a little earlier than I would normally take appointments, around 9:30. Always a phone call yes person in the morning, appointments throughout the day, home by dinner type of a setup for me. So I get there, and it was the lady who owned the restaurant and also her manager that were there, and they were already meeting with somebody. And the guy gets up and leaves and said some version. Now this was 2017 maybe. So he said some version of I'll send it over to you, right? Or I'll send you the proposal, send you the whatever, and walks out the door. Now, as I'm sitting there, he's leaving another guy, another rep of some sort. I don't know what he was selling, but comes and sits down next to me as well. I realized I'm like, oh wow, this is interesting. They're meeting with folks, like they're handling, maybe it's marketing, whatever it is, right now. Like they want to make a decision, they want to spend some money. So I am 1,000%, orthodox in terms of the language, the close, very process driven. I do believe strongly that the sales process is linear. And when you veer off, the skill of sales is about bringing it back to the path, finding a nice, gentle way to guide the focus back on this linear path towards the signature. And so, we're sitting there and looking at a quarter page. There was no digital at this time, and they said it was outside of their budget. I'm working with them on it. As for the order, basically gave me some objections, things like that, and then they said they needed to discuss it. Okay, we need to get together and discuss. My general phrase for something like this when they need to discuss is, okay, great. Did you want me to wait up here? Should I wait right here? Where should I wait, basically, right? Because there's not much to discuss. Like I have that internal conviction. There's not a whole lot of things to think about. All you really think about when making a decision with working with one of our publishers or being a part of our publication is this an important market? That's one of our 5 buying questions, right? Like if that's not there, there's no point in doing anything else. Second thing is, do they understand how the media works? Do they understand how we give them access to the community through our print and digital components, right? They just have to understand it. I'm 1,000% convicted that everybody should be doing it. Well, most, I shouldn't say everybody. The Rolex probably isn't a good fit for what we do, but at the local level, and I'm okay if they don't maybe have that 1,000% conviction. I just want them to understand that there's value in it. Like they should be doing this. Do they feel that way, right? So there's the market, the media, and the last part is the money. We're just figuring out how much are we spending. At this point, they actually kind of looked at me, they looked at each other, and then they went off, discussed it, and came back, and we signed a deal. So I share that with you because the next part's interesting, where I like sushi, was eating at their sushi restaurant. and would go in there from time to time. I actually had a meeting with like my content coordinator and other people would use kind of a meeting spot as well through customer service, dropping off magazine, great to see a new sushi restaurant doing well. They ended up telling me some version of the guy before me didn't get the deal, right? Literally the money that they spent with me by me having a strong internal sense of urgency and just, proposing the question both internally and externally, how might we make this happen today? What's it going to take to make this happen today, right? That money got invested into a BVM publication with me in terms of a new client versus going to the guy before me, or it could have gone to the person after me as well. That was the last of they sure that was the last of their marketing budget for that period of time. So I share that not to scare anybody. I would hate for you to be scared and go, oh gosh, every time I leave a meeting, they could spend that money elsewhere. But we have to understand that's the importance of urgency and learning that skill of, basically just how our close is set up, asking the right questions and making sure that we have our own internal sense of now is the best time to do this. It's not a cheesy sales tactic. It's just the reality of the way humans are. Maybe you yourself or someone, I know if I give, a family member, a niece or nephew or something, $20, that thing's gone. They're looking to spend it right away. Business owners, a lot of us adults are just like grown children sometimes, right? So they're looking to spend money. If you're meeting with them, that's the best time to be spending that money. So that's a little bit of just some thoughts on urgency. Let's talk ROI too. So a couple of things on ROI, really kind of ROI and tracking. So it's a hot conversation in the advertising world. I think it's super interesting because it's one of those questions that feels really intelligent. And in fact, if you run certain businesses, it might be a more relevant question. Like if I had an online e-commerce business, there is more of an ROI look at things. It's still not a true ROI. It's still not completely accurate because there's a lot of factors. But if you were to hire someone for, performance marketing for your online t-shirt store, you would want to know, hey, if I spent $500 with you, what's my store doing? The thing is, when they do it in that world, the people that do say, hey, here's what the ROI is projected, they basically take over the whole business. Sales funnels, customer service, operation of the storefront, the look, the feel of everything. It's not just the advertising portion, right? Because you legitimately need to take over an entire business in order to even get a grasp on what kind of an ROI might come back from advertising. But it's a unicorn fairy tale to chase it most of the time. I remember walking by a nice little store that just opened up in a place called La Jolla Cove in San Diego, and really nice area. Business is really good here in terms of there's a lot of foot traffic. It's a busy, active place. And this lady was telling me, she's like, yeah, business is really slow. I just moved here from Northern California and I'm kind of surprised. And, not many people really coming in. And I went, huh, yeah, that is interesting. Well, I'd love to stop in there at some point. I was on my way to an appointment or something like that. So fast forward, a few days later, a week later, I walked by and I was thinking about her, walking by her store, noticed it was closed, looked at the business hours. It was open like, 10 to 2, Monday and Thursday or something. Business wasn't slow in that area or for her or anything like that. Her hours were not conducive of great sales, of running a great business. So that's one of the hard things about being a publisher is we want to see every person that we sit across from as a business owner do very well. There's also a level of understanding what our responsibility is and what their responsibility is. And our responsibility can't be to promise an ROI because it's impossible for us to do that. Think about this. If you and I went to buy an ad from whoever it is that sells the Super Bowl ads, right? And I said, well, hey, what's my ROI going to be on the Super Bowl ad? The guy would probably just hang up on me or kick me out the door or start laughing because he'd think it's a joke. What are you talking about? What's your ROI? It's the Super Bowl. Do you want your ad to be in here or not, right? And not that I would sit there and sit across from a prospective client in our business and say that, but that's the kind of confidence I feel when it comes to the ROI conversation. And I hope that you have that same confidence. And in terms of it being a silly question, right? Because it's just it's a super wild thing. So I won't go too far into the Super Bowl rant. I do believe I love the Super Bowl analogy in a sense that we are, we're the Super Bowl of local community advertising. Each and every month that publication comes out. We've got Facebook, Google ads that run over it. Like, this is the place to be 100%. I'll share one other thing. It's really interesting. And it kind of is this combo, maybe ROI and tracking, and why even trying to track ROI for, the businesses that we work with would be kind of silly. I got in a car accident once, and a friend of mine, I had to get my car fixed, car repaired, take it in for the insurance things. And a friend of mine said, "Hey, you should check this place out." Me being in advertising, this was again around like 2017, 2018. I asked him, I said, "Hey, how'd you hear about it?" He said, "Oh, a billboard. Billboard says you take your car in there for an insurance claim and they'll pay your deductible." Sounds like a pretty sweet deal. What do? I go online, I look at their website. All right, website seems legit. I then call them. Receptionists seem nice. I ended up booking an appointment. I go in there, I'm sitting in the lobby. I get a clipboard, a sheet of paper on it. Maybe you've seen one of these, and you're filling it out. And then one of the, big sections on there, "How'd you hear about us?" Well, there's, I don't know, what is there, 7 boxes, 8 boxes? How many boxes are around there? Well, there's no box for "My friend saw your billboard, driving on his daily drive every day, then told me about you. Then I checked out your website. You happened to be open when I called you, so that was nice. And your receptionist was really friendly. Based on all those things and the fact they're going to cover my deductible, I decided to come in here." How the heck do you track that? Now, me being in advertising, I actually wrote all of that out, knowing what we do, right? I wrote all that out. I hope that that business owner actually saw that and got a little bit of education about advertising, because that billboard obviously was not about to get the credit it deserved, just like a lot of advertising probably doesn't get the credit that it deserves. So there's a couple things to think about. I also did say word of mouth, and a slight idea for whenever you come across someone, in terms of where they just opened up their business. Word of mouth, it's not a great objection that I think is encountered. I was just talking to one person for a role play, and they go, "Oh my gosh, this would work really well for word of mouth." So all I'll say is, if you are running into the word of mouth objection, I would really study the words that are on some of the slides, especially the campaign duration slide, like right there on the 12 editions. It talks about, this is great for businesses that do word of mouth. Just an idea that stood out to me, where I know sometimes it's easy to fall off the language of the talking points in the slides, but those words, they're designed to help defeat, overcome objections, and really just convey what we do in a fantastic way. So this last thing here, because I don't want this video to be, a million years long. But the last thing would be a tool for working with new business owners. Every once in a while we sit across from a new business owner, and they're not really sure about advertising. They've never done it. They're not sure what their budget should be. And this is where, generally a more experienced publisher can turn into a bit of a consultant or educator. I was a fan of, carrying a yellow notepad with me, and would actually just pull out a yellow notepad, draw a circle on there, little pie chart, and divvy it up and say, the SBA, Small Business Association in the US, and a lot of research shows that generally, I'd have to look and see what it is right this minute. Maybe it's changed recently, but it used to be about 8 to 12%. So I'd say, the SBA and most research shows that a business should spend about 8 to 12% of their gross revenue on advertising. I usually get kind of a shock, like, wow, really? Every once in a while they weren't shocked. They're like, yeah, it makes sense. Some people don't know what their gross revenue is if they just open the doors, but at least now they have some information they can, better process to make a decision. And then draw a circle. Say, what great businesses do is they divide that up, and you carve it up, and you put different percentages. You say print and Facebook, Google. You can put a whole variety of different things, even putting services that we don't have. I always put things that I didn't offer, just so people could get a good grasp of what a strong, marketing pie looks like. And saying, this is what great business do. They decide what that amount is, and they decide how to divide it up, and then stay consistent over time with, those things that are proven. And I just share that with you because maybe it's a tool that you have in your toolbox, or something you can add to your toolbox, because it is very common for us to sign new business owners. Most people that are new, they if they're having trouble making decisions because they have some uncertainty and just need a little bit of education on that. So I hope you found that super helpful. I'm really excited to see everyone in LA next week on Tuesday, and then also in Desert. Obviously, we're at an in-person meeting in Salt Lake, and we have a watch party in Tucson as well. So very, very excited for that. Excited for all of the yeses. Dave's talk this morning was phenomenal. Sounds like a smoke alarm is going off. I got to go check on what's happening in lunch there.